Just for some people who are watching who might not know who you are, when I first got introduced to you, you were a famous person that I had never heard of, and I remember you were
Not that famous then, right, Matt?
I was running my meetups at the time. I had someone be like, Yaro, Starak's coming to town. You should get him to speak. I'm like, who's that? And then Yaro came and talked, and then after, of course, I looked you up at that time, and so Yaro ran the website called Entrepreneur-Journey. And you could tell that he didn't know what he was doing when he started because he put a dash in his freaking domain name. But that was a popular entrepreneur blog, and people still recognize you for that, right? You know, like I told you, I was talking to someone else about the show, and I was like, oh yeah, Yaro's coming on the show. They're like, oh, Entrepreneur-Journey. Oh my god.
No one says dash journey though.
I know. He said Entrepreneur-Journey.
Yeah.
But anyways, but then also, I think it's interesting too, and I think just like a real quick, if you don't mind sharing, you changed the domain name of your blog, and I thought that was a big risky move. I've asked you this a few times about what happened to that. I was always curious about this because now you got Yaro.blog. So not only is .blog not considered a premium domain technically because it's not like .com kind of thing, but having your name .blog follows kind of, I think Tim Ferriss did that. Did he? It was tim.blog or something like that. And like, did he change his whole website? It used to be timferriss.com. Is it tim.blog or?
I think it's tim.blog as a center point, but he still has 4hourworkweek.com and 4hourchef.com. And I think they all just go to.
Did he have his blog like on like timferriss.com before and then he moved?
No, I think it was 4hourworkweek.com originally because that was the first book and that was the first blog and everything was on that domain.
I see. Because I remember hearing about Neil Patel. He sold Kissmetrics to a company, I forget which company it was, then he bought it back from them just for the content because they were getting 500,000 or like 1 million visitors a month. And then he took all the domains, all the URLs for all those blog posts and then merged it into his neilpatel.com and then kicked up his traffic doing it that way. I think it's an interesting thing to do because I know you can go on sites like Flippa or whatever, and you can go buy an existing website with content and then merge it into your website. I don't know all the technicalities of doing that, but I'm just curious if you wanted to share just really quickly about kind of like what happened after you did that and both to your brand, but also to your rankings, your traffic, that sort of thing.
I feel like a deja vu, man. I feel like we covered this in a previous episode, but
no, I don't think we did. We have talked about it many times.
We have maybe I don't know when the record button was hit or not, but yeah. So so I had entrepreneurs dash whatever you want to call it journey.com registered in 2004 before domain names were a thing. And that was great for a long time. Not like it was detrimental, but
so in 2004, out of all the names that you could have possibly registered, you registered. And I can't even spell entrepreneur. I don't know about you.
It's like you know what's really crazy about that is I pride myself on my domain name selection and my company name selection. And before I had entrepreneurs-journey.com, I had an online essay editing company called betteredit.com. And I think that's like one of the best domains I've had for a company. It was like describing the service. It's got alliteration. It's got, cadence. And that was great. And I don't know why, after I got such a great domain name for that, I said, I'm going to have this fun, casual blog. I'm just going to call it Entrepreneur's Journey. I can't get the .com. I'll put a hyphen in it and away you go. So for some reason, I didn't follow through. But to answer your question, so
wait, do you still own Better Edit?
No, I sold that company in 2007.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so I around 2015, I was having, I guess, a change in direction. I was starting a new company called Inbox Done. I was contemplating where my content was going and my personal brand was going. I wasn't sure. Am I going to release a book? Am I going to keep teaching something around business? Is Inbox Done going to take off and all my time and energy is going to go there? And to be honest, actually, my project manager, Laura, she sort of suggested, why don't you just have an umbrella brand? It's your personal brand. Use your name. I knew I wanted to retire Entrepreneur's Journey, and I knew I didn't want to necessarily continue teaching blogging specifically and being known as a blog make money guy, which was my career for 10 years and how you and I met, Matt. I saw Tim actually, I think, get tim.blog, and I was easily got Yaro.blog, and a lot of competition for Yaro out there. And I made the domain name change carefully with my tech person, Carly. We did the 401 redirects. We did all the updates with Search Console and everything. And it was detrimental initially. We definitely lost, I don't know, 20% organic traffic immediately as soon as the new domain name resolved. And it was an acute, obvious, even I think on some phrases, 50% less traffic. But the assumption, as I had studied before we made the move, was you're going to experience an initial hit, then the update will happen over time. It'll understand that this content's the same. It's just a change in domain name. And yes, it did improve, but never back to where it was. But there's a mix of things going on too. Like at the same time as I'm making a domain name change, a lot more content's flooding the internet. So there's more competition for the same topics I was writing about. Better domain names, or more authoritative top level companies, your Entrepreneur Magazine, your Forbes, your Huffington Post, they're all starting to dominate top search phrases for like how to make money with the blog. And even established players like ProBlogger, and there's a couple of other guys, obviously Pat Flynn's sort of in the same space, and he's in a wheelchair. He's an incredible guy. He's made millions of dollars teaching blogging, but
Was it ProBlogger?
No, not ProBlogger. It's Blog. It's been a while. I'm not even familiar with my own space anymore. We got to find him. Okay. It's like now he teaches writing, but anyway, we are all kind of old school. That was John Chow as well, and all these kind of old school people teaching this topic, plus all the new school people, all the YouTube videos, all the podcasts and everything. So long story short, it was definitely the start of a downturn that was already happening for my own organic reach. And thankfully, I had a database that still is my main source of customers and how I test business ideas.
AKA email list.
Yeah.
What were you selling at the time when you started to see like the numbers decline, or about that time period when you were making the transition to Inbox Done? Was that like your next big thing from like the blog? And what were you selling when you had the blog?
Yeah, it was in tandem. So I didn't just say everything's closing on my coaching teaching business and then we're starting a new company. It was, let's start the new company. I'm not going to create new products, new courses, new training, but I still have these evergreen funnels. I'm still writing a newsletter. I'm still writing blog posts. So it didn't shut down, but as we got more clients to Inbox Done, Tom is actually one of them, one of the very first ones, in fact.
For sure.
And it's like, as an entrepreneur, your motivation is to continue to promote the thing that's new and growing. So I started to see myself as the co-founder of Inbox Done and less a personal brand driven blog guy. But then honestly, I went all over the place. I started angel investing. I built this solar farm in Ukraine. I did some property investing. I decided the Yaro umbrella brand was perfect because it could encapsulate all my interests. But now I'm
encapsulate your whole entrepreneur journey.
Well, yes, hyphen journey.
But buy the domain back.
Entrepreneur hyphen journey.
Buy the domain back for $1 million.
Yeah.
I think I could get it cheaper. I actually still own it now.
Okay. Well, what about entrepreneur journey, no dash? Where
I had someone else own that, and every now and then I get an email and like, do you want to buy entrepreneurjourney.com?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I need it at this stage. So.
Like dashes are in, bro.
Yeah, they're really not. But yeah, so it's funny because I'm returning to my personal brand somewhat now, kind of assessing what am I trying to do. Like I still have a membership site that still gets a trickle of new customers, and I want to still keep that going. And Inbox Done is actually very independent. There's a marketing team now. There's 40 assistants. There's my co-founder and a management team. So it's got its own identity that's not associated with me, except I'm out there doing podcast interviews and talking about it. But so I don't know. Like, I actually love to hear Tom, because I know you're in that lovely space where you're just constantly, I'm assuming, growing your email database every day, because everyone like Matt is looking for deals on software and things like that, and it's an easy opt-in. It's just like, here's a free something else, join our email list. So that's what I'm assuming is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, with InfoStack, that is what we do, and I know we'll talk about this maybe some more, but like I don't do any content. We don't do anything, or any like blog content or any YouTube content or any social media content outside of, I suppose, on Facebook we post deals, but otherwise we're effectively just email. And that's been good enough for growth of the last few years, which is interesting, maybe in its own right, for somebody going that route. Like, you can actually build.
Are you just doing like joint ventures to get those emails, or how do you grow the email list?
Effectively, yes, affiliates and joint venture / affiliates, and that's why we've done it from the beginning. And it's still the number one lever, like marketing channel and sales channel that we pull, right? And because it still works. And so in my back of my mind, though, it was like this year. But we'll see where we're at with this year, because this year is almost over. But now thinking 2023, where like what is the play next? Like, what are other avenues? Does it go to blogging? Does it go to YouTube? Does it go to other content production?
Can you run out of JV partners?
That's the thing. I mean, that I don't know. I don't think we've tapped the bottom of that well.